Mel Kiper has put out his 2021 NFL draft rankings, so this is his big board. It's not a mock draft. It's just who he ranks as the best prospects for 2021, and then went with the top 5 at each position as well for the 2021 draft. And not surprisingly, Jamar Chase is very high on the list. Mel Kiper has Trevor Lawrence number 1 overall, Penei Sewell, the offensive tackle out of Oregon, number 2, Justin Fields number 3, which is stunning to me. By the time next year's draft rolls around, you are going to be so sick of hearing me say this, but I cannot believe Justin Fields is considered that high of a prospect for next year. I do not want him as my team's quarterback of the future. But we got a year to talk about that. But after Lawrence, Sewell, and Fields, 4th best prospect in the draft next year, according to Mel Kiper, is Jamar Chase. Of Jamar Chase, Kiper writes, I studied a lot of tape of LSU's offense leading up to the 2020 draft, and Chase is hard to miss. He makes highlight reel catches look easy. He's stellar after the catch, breaking tackles, running away from defenders, and he has a physicality that can't be taught. Chase caught 84 passes last season, leading the FBS with 1,780 yards and 20 touchdowns. He also dominated first-round pick A.J. Terrell in the national title game, catching 9 passes for 221 yards and 2 TDs. Chase is a big-time wideout prospect. Kiper nailed that one. A couple of other interesting ones. Patrick Surtain, longtime LSU lean. Surtain's on the list at number 7 as the 7th best prospect in the 2021 draft, according to Mel Kiper. You got a pretty heavy SEC flair throughout this. A couple of other players that LSU is going to see and has seen before. Samuel Cosmi, Jalen Waddle, the wide receiver from Alabama, 12. Samuel Cosmi is 11. Cosmi's 12. That's the offensive tackle from Texas, who really stonewalled Caleb Von Chasson last year for the bulk of that matchup. And then at 16, you got Devontae Smith, the wide receiver out of Amite, who's at Alabama, about to play his final season. And then Tyler Shelvin is on the list at 17. How about that? 6'3", 346. Shelvin is a 4th-year player, but Kiper thinks a lot of him. Compares him to Vita Vea, who went 12 overall in 2018. Kiper notes that he's not going to. He also compared him to Haloti Ngata. He says he's not going to give you much as a pass rusher, but he has a role in the NFL. And he says Shelvin's the top nose tackle for 2021. Here is why, for me, Tyler Shelvin is a fascinating test case for 2021. Tyler Shelvin has been playing a true nose at LSU. Dave Aranda's defense, big defensive linemen, eat up blocks, let linebackers roam and make plays. That ain't what Bo Pelini's going to do. Bo Pelini, think about Bo Pelini's defenses in Baton Rouge. That's what Ed Ogeron wants. He wants guys who are going to be disruptors at the defensive tackle position, none greater than Glenn Dorsey. Now, Tyler Shelvin ain't going to do, he's listed at 346. He ain't 346. But if he can legit get down to 330, 320, 330, which is a big ask, but if he can do it and maintain his strength and explosiveness at a more reasonable weight, then you could be talking about a legitimate All-American candidate in Tyler Shelvin if he has that type of season. He is a fascinating test case to watch because it's not just eyeball tests like Mel Kiper. Pro Football Focus has rated Tyler Shelvin among the best defensive linemen returning for 2021 as well, or for the 2020 season, because he's got all of the ability. His stats don't pop because he was playing a true nose, but when you look at the impact he's had, he's the tough guy to handle. I mean, there's a reason he was the number 1 prospect in Louisiana when he was coming out of high school. Can he get it all together for this year? We'll see. They got Dylan Moses at 19, Kyle Pitts, the tight end out of Florida, at 23, Alex Leatherwood at 25. Again, Mel Kiper's big board for 2021. Kiper also ranked the top 5 players at every position for next year's draft. And this is where I certainly had some questions, but it's also going to be really interesting to see what LSU guys can make their way up this list. Quarterbacks, he's got Justin Fields 2, Trevor Lawrence 1, kid out of North Dakota State 3, but then Jamie Newman he's got at 4. Jamie Newman may be the biggest wild card in college football. Georgia's roster is good enough everywhere else to win a championship if they have a good enough quarterback. Jake Fromm wasn't good enough last year. That was obvious. He also didn't have enough weapons to pick up where he lacked like he did the year before. Can Jamie Newman do it? Jamie Newman's a guy that threw 20 touchdowns and 11 picks last year, 2,800 yards. Good season. A good season. Not an elite season. And I don't know if Jamie Newman is an elite quarterback. If you couldn't do it at Wake Forest, are you going to be able to do it in the SEC? Jamie Newman at Wake Forest last year had 3 multiple interception games. Clemson, Virginia Tech. Like, the better defenses he played, the more he struggled. I mean, his only 300-yard passing games were against non-conference opponents like Elon. How's that going to fly in the SEC? I don't know. I'm skeptical. Certainly file me under skeptical. Kiper has Torrey Carter as the 4th best fullback in the draft. Unfortunately, nobody uses fullbacks anymore. That includes LSU. Has Torrey Carter listed as like a tight end, like H-back now. So that's not going to work. Jamar Chase, as we mentioned, the number 1 receiver in the draft for Mel Kiper next year. The real surprise is that outside of Tyler Shelvin, there's no lineman either side of the ball that Kiper lists. And I do think that the lineman who has the best chance to be on that list next year, that's not right now, is Ed Ingram. Ed Ingram physically is that guy. He's that dude that it could be a first-round talent. But he missed a year and a half. And he came back late last year and had to earn his spot. And Adrian McGee was playing so well that Ingram was a rotational guy. Now, you're it, bro. You're starting right tackle. Game 1. Go play a 14 or 15 game schedule, dominate 14 or 15 games, and you could be in that conversation. The other thing that was flat out stunning is there's no Jabril Cox. 5 best inside linebackers in college football for this year or for next year's draft, according to Mel Kiper. Dylan Moses, Chaz Surratt from North Carolina, KJ Britt from Auburn, Merlin Robertson from Arizona State, and Monty Rice from Georgia. Those are all awesome players. But Jabril Cox is a 2-time All-American and a 100-tackle guy. I will be stunned if Jabril Cox is what he's been billed to be if he doesn't find himself on this list next year as a first-round pick at linebacker. No cornerbacks from LSU. That's probably to be expected. Jacoby Stevens is listed by Mel Kiper as the 5th best safety in this upcoming draft. We'll talk more about Stevens at the bottom of this hour, but I think Stevens' versatility means he is going to have a monster year for LSU out of necessity. They're going to let him play the freelance versatile role that Delpit played 2 years ago, and I think Stevens is going to have a monster year. And then Zach Von Rosenberg, Kiper has listed as the 3rd best punter or place kicker for the 2021 draft. So what a story that would be if Zach Von Rosenberg out of Zachary, who went and played professional baseball, gave up on the baseball dream, walked on at LSU, earned the starting job, wins a national championship. If he finds himself in the NFL, amazing story that would be. So just a little look ahead to 2021 as Mel Kiper's put out his big board, some names on it and names that might be at this time next year.